Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, My Remote Class. I hope you are all fine and doing great. Today I am again going to take another class, and this is on nucleus. You know that nucleus is also called the brain of the cell. It is called the brain of the cell because it holds the information needed to conduct most of the cell's function, and other molecules make proteins from the information on a regular basis each moment of our lives. So let's start. This is the structure of our nucleus, but before going through the details of it, let's go through the history of it. It was way back in 1831 when Robert Brown, botanist, was actually observing the fertilization process between the two plant families, Orchidaceae and Asclepiaceae. He noted the existence of a structure within the cells of orchids as well as many other plants, and he termed it as nucleus. Now the numbers of nucleus vary. If there is just one nucleus, then we call it uninucleate. If there are two nucleus or two nuclei rather, then we call it binucleate. For example, in case of paramecium and in case of liver cells, etc. If there are more than two nuclei, then we call it multinucleate. For example, Opalina, Vaucheria, etc. And it should also be noted that in case of matured human RBC and sheep cell, the nucleus is absent. So we call them anucleate. Now, if the animal cells are with multinuclei, we call it syncytium, and if the plant cell is multinucleated, we call it cynocyte. Now, along with the number, the size and shape of nucleus also varies. For example, it may be spherical or oval or kidney shaped or horseshoe shaped or maybe lobe. Now there is a term known as the nucleocytoplasmic index. Now what happens as the cell passes through the cell cycle, their nuclear volume doubles in the preparation for division into two daughter cells. When the cells are in resting condition, however, the ratio of nuclear volume to cytoplasmic volume remains stable. This ratio is known as nucleocytoplasmic ratio. There is a formula of Hartwig regarding this nucleocytoplasmic index. It is like this, that NP equal to Vn divided by Vc minus Vn. Now what is this NP? NP is nothing but nucleocytoplasmic index. Vn is volume of the nucleus. Vc is the volume of the cell. The nucleus is made up of four components. These are nuclear membrane, nucleoplasm, nuclear reticulum, and nucleolus. Here you can see that the nucleus is surrounded by the nuclear membrane. Then there is nuclear sap or nucleoplasm. Then these are the thread-like structures. These are also known as the nuclear reticulum, and there is a spherical dense structure inside the nucleoplasm. This is known as the nucleolus. So nucleus has four components: nuclear membrane, nuclear sap or nucleoplasm, then nuclear reticulum, and finally the nucleolus. Now the nucleus is surrounded by membranes. It is called the nuclear membranes, and this nuclear membrane actually allows the nucleus to get separated from the cytoplasm. The nucleus is actually surrounded by two membranes, each of which is 60 to 90 degree angstrom thick. The outer one is called the outer membrane, while the inner one is called the inner membrane, and there is a gap of 100 degree angstrom in between the two membranes. This is called the perinuclear space or the perinuclear cisternae. The outer membrane is attached to the endoplasmic reticulum and is continuous with it. Inner membrane is continuous with the smooth nuclear lumen. Here you can see that the outer membrane is continuous with the rough endoplasmic reticulum, whereas the inner membrane is continuous with the smooth nuclear lumen. Now there are many pores in the nuclear membrane. These are called the nucleopores. There are approximately 1000 nuclear pore complexes or NPCs are present in the nuclear envelope. Now what are these nuclear pore complexes? These are actually the gateways connecting the nucleoplasm and the cytoplasm. The proteins that make up the nuclear pore complexes are known as the nucleoporins, and there are at least 456 individual protein molecules and is composed of 34 distinct nucleoporine proteins, and there are about 30,000 nuclear pores per nuclear membrane. So it's a huge one, and the nuclear pores are actually octagonal. Here you can see there are 8 proteins, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These proteins are actually acting as ball bearings, and this is known as the annulus. And if you look inside, then you will find it looks like this. There are cytoplasmic filaments, there are cytoplasmic particles, cytoplasmic ring, the central region, then there is the spoke in between the outer nuclear membrane and the inner nuclear membrane, and there is the inner spoke ring here. Here you can see there is the inner spoke ring, and the nuclear ring is present under it, and there is a basket known as the nuclear basket, and there is a ring finally. This is known as the terminal ring. So this is the structure of nuclear pore complex. This looks like the O-rings or rubber bands, thick rubber bands like structure. It looks like that. Now here you can see that the nucleus is surrounded by the 2 nuclear membranes. Here you can see, and this side is the cytoplasm, and this side has the nuclear portion, and anything which likes to go from inside to the outside or from cytoplasmic end to the nuclear end, then the small molecules can pass through the nuclear membrane through these pores, but the large molecules or the macromolecules cannot pass, and the large molecules or the macromolecules cannot. Now whenever any substance wants to come from the cytoplasmic end to the nuclear end, it needs nuclear localization signal, and when any substance wants to move from the nuclear end to the cytoplasmic end, then it needs another signal. This is known as nuclear exit signal. So NES and NLS, these are the 2 signals. NLS allows the substance from cytoplasmic end to the nuclear end, and the NES allows the substances from the nuclear end to the cytoplasmic end. Now let's see how does it happen. Now what happens, this nuclear localization signal or NLS allows the protein cargo to be attached with importin. Here this is known as the importin. This is actually rich in arginine and lysine, and here you can see there is an attachment between the protein cargo and the importin, and it is now taking the protein cargo inside the nucleus. At the other end of the nuclear pore complex, there is a RAN-GTP. RAN-GTP binds the importin, which has a sort of stacked alpha helix motif, forming a spring-like structure. This spring-like structure has a conformational change, and the cargo protein is released nuclear lumen. Here you can see the RAN-GTP binds the importin, undergoes conformational change, and then it gets released. So here it is released in the nuclear lumen. Now what happens, this RAN-GTP comes to the cytoplasmic end and hydrolyzed GTP to GDP. This actually dissociates it from the nuclear import receptor. Now let's go through the nuclear sap. This is actually moderately transparent, slightly acidic granulated semi-liquid fluid present inside the nuclear membrane, and it consists of the following components: nucleoproteins, nucleic acids, enzymes, lipids, and minerals. Now the nucleoproteins can be divided into 3 subcategories. These are nucleoprotamines, nucleohistones, and non-histones or acidic proteins. Now actually the nuclear sap or nucleoplasm acts as a reservoir of synthesized substances. It maintains the turgidity, it contains chromatin network and the nucleolus. The nuclear sap contains a thread-like structure known as the chromatin network, and this chromatin network can be observed if we use any basic stains like hematoxylin, orsin, carmine, etc. Now these chromatin networks are of 2 types. These are heterochromatins and euchromatins. Now heterochromatins is a deeply stained portion with rich RNA and very less DNA. The DNA is inactive here, whereas the euchromatin is rich with DNA with less condensed portion and it has active genes. Now from this you can easily conclude that heterochromatins have inactive DNA, so it is not useful in heredity. So as it is not useful in heredity, so it is also not useful in evolution. Whereas the euchromatin has active DNA, so it is actively participating in heredity, so does it is participating in evolution. Let's go through the nucleolus. Nucleolus has 4 components: chromatin part, pars amorpha, pars fibrillosa and pars granulosa. Now in this picture you can see the chromatin part is made up of DNA and is present in the peripheral part. This portion is known as the chromatin part. Chromatin part is present in the peripheral region as well as it has intruded inside. This is called the intranucleolar chromatin. So this area actually is made up of DNA. They actually help in manufacturing ribosomal RNA. Now the homogeneous portion present inside chromatin area, that means this area, this is known as the pars amorpha or the matrix. Now the pars amorpha or the matrix region contains 2 things. One is called the granular portion, another one is called the fibrillar portion. That means the pars fibrillosa and the pars granulosa are present inside the pars amorpha or the matrix region. Now the pars fibrillosa contains the RNP fibrils, that is 50 to 80 degree angstrom, whereas and the pars granulosa contains the RNP granules which are about 150 to 200 degree angstrom. Now let's go through the functions of nucleus. There are lots of functions. First one, as I said, that it controls all the metabolic activities of cells and contain all the chromatin network, and these chromatin networks contain the blueprint of life, that is genes, and these chromatin networks actually act as chromosomes later during cell division and act as vehicles of heredity, and they carry genes from one generation to another generation. This is known as the brain of the cell, and it also regulates and controls protein synthesis and helps in ribosome formation. The nucleolus helps in ribosome formation, as well as the ribosomal RNA is also synthesized from the nucleolus. So these are the functions of nucleus. Now let's see the differences between nucleus and nucleolus. There are lots of differences between nucleus and nucleolus. Firstly, the nucleus is present inside the cytoplasm, whereas the nucleolus is present inside the nucleus. The nucleus has 4 components. These are the nuclear membranes, nuclear reticulum, nuclear sap and nucleolus. Whereas the nucleolus has 4 components: the chromatin part, the matrix region or the pars amorpha, pars granulosa as well as pars fibrillosa. The nucleus is surrounded by nuclear membranes, but the nucleolus has no such membrane. The nucleus actually acts as the brain of the cell and it synthesizes various nuclear substances, whereas the nucleolus synthesizes ribosome. I hope you have understood the structure and function of the nucleus. If you have any query, you have any problem regarding this topic, then do comment in the comment section box. I shall definitely reply. And if you like my video, then do like, share and comment. Thank you.